Well, believe it or not, it's carrot picking season here in Southwest Michigan. In this video, I'm going to show you a few things, but one of them is going to be how to know if your carrots are ready and how to harvest them. And also just to show you what happens whenever you don't thin them. Hi, my name's LANDON here at Pepper and Pine Garden Design, and I have been gone for 4 days, so I have come back to the garden to find lots of surprises. It is amazing what can happen in a garden in just a few days, especially when you get a really good rain. So I'm out here right now just kind of tending things, paying attention to what's been going on since I've been gone. And I have been very pleasantly surprised to see that a lot of my carrots that I planted in April are ready today. Carrots can be a finicky vegetable to grow. You have to make sure that they stay really nice and wet whenever the seeds are germinating. You got to keep that ground really moist. You can have just hit or miss germination a lot of times. This year I have had awesome germination, and I've talked about several times my radish and carrot interplanting trick that I used this year that I felt like made a huge difference in my harvest. You can find those videos in this playlist right here. And I just was going to show you kind of what this is looking like. It might give you some help in learning how to, the best way to plant your carrots, the best way to thin them, and what happens when you don't. So I didn't do an extensive job thinning these carrots this year. And a lot of times that's just because there's so many little shoots in here. Sometimes it's hard to know what to thin. So I wanted them to get a little bigger before I could get in here and really tell which were the little plants that didn't need to be there and which ones I could leave and stay. Now I will tell you two things that I have learned this year that will make this easier in years to come. And that is, I do find it easier to thin them once they've gotten a little bit bigger. So once I can really tell where the individual stems are, I could come in here and pull them out. And I've already done that. I'm still doing it now, but I've already done that as the season has gone on. I've come in here and pulled little baby carrots out just to give these other bigger ones some room. But I want to show you right here an area where I didn't do that and kind of what those carrots look like. So I've multi-sown a lot of vegetables this year, like beets and radishes and turnips. And this is kind of what like multi-sown carrots look like. And I'm going to pull this one out just to show you. This one looks like it's probably going to be pretty normal. It's a little bent, right? It doesn't have the forked look like this one does. Here's a really good example of like a forked carrot that can happen when it isn't allowed just to grow straight down into the ground. If there's other things around it impeding it, you can also have a little bit of forked there at the end. And that's why you want to thin out your carrots. If you really want those long, nice, straight carrots, then you want to make sure they have plenty of room to grow straight down in the ground. Here, with all these carrots being so packed close together, this is where you can get that forking effect. Now, it doesn't necessarily affect the taste of your carrots. It just affects the way they look. So this is going to be a perfectly fine carrot to eat, but I might not want to sell this at a farmer's market. So if you're considering selling your produce, that's why you would really want to pay attention to thinning your plants. Now, these guys in here could go another few days. I've kind of disrupted this one too much, so I'm going to pull him out. You can see he's already starting to do some forking there with his roots. These guys can stay. This one's like upside down in here. How funny is that? Hold on. Oh, no, there it is. I pulled the wrong side. Anyway, I'm going to leave these. I'm going to cover them back up here with this sandy ground, and those will continue to grow. There's some other ones in here that need a little bit more time to grow. And how do you know when to pick them, right? So you can kind of see, I've come in here and thin these out so they've got a little bit more space. I could probably thin this out right here. See, it's really hard to tell what's what. Yeah, I'm gonna pull this one out. It's still a little baby. I think there's plenty of room there. I'm not too concerned about the forked carrots because I'm not selling them this year. I'm just using them for food inside the house. So it's not a huge deal if they don't have that perfect carrot look to them. But again, if you want that perfect straight carrot, you got to thin them out. So these look pretty good. I've pulled most of the big ones out, but this is really how you know when they're ready to pull is you just look at their stalks right here at the base when they get that really nice thick stalk. And you can also see the head generally starting to poke up above the ground, just decide, is that how big you want it? Now you also need to know the size of the carrot you're growing, and that will also give you an indication if they're ready. These guys are still a little bit small. I could totally pull them, but they'll continue to grow and they have enough space there that they should be fine. So I'm gonna leave those. I was trying to see if I left see, this one's like completely sitting out of the ground. I'm just going ahead and pull him. I went through here and picked most of the big ones out. But this one right here, this has a nice stem on it. It's nice and thick and strong. So I'm gonna pull him out. Now you can see he's got some forking there with the roots because it was, so these would probably have continued to grow out. But I mean, this is a decent sized carrot as far as like the diameter goes. It probably would have continued to grow down had it had more space. That's okay. I was really just trying to show you here kind of the stalk that you're looking for. This one's a really good example. This is a bigger carrot here. And you can see it's got a much thicker stalk. So really you're looking at the stalk, you're looking at the shoulders of the carrot as they start to come out of the ground. And then just be aware of the variety you're growing so you know about what size you're looking for. So I probably should pull this one out, give those a little bit more room back in there. It's hard to tell. I'm gonna pull that one out. That's a little baby carrot that my daughter can eat. But most of these look pretty good. I mean, they're curved, and that's not a huge deal. But most of these look really well, and they were pretty closely planted together. So, you don't have to go for perfection here unless you're, wanting to sell perfect carrots at the farmer's market. This one's kind of an interesting example that's just split, and that's probably just because it didn't have a lot of room to grow. So this one may not be too edible. It's probably gonna be dried out. So this one's a loss, but most of these are fine. And some of them are smaller than others because I pulled them out to give the other ones some room to grow. This one did the same thing, it split. But I think these are the only two that I found like that. So I'll give those to the chickens. But other than that, these look really good. And I've got a lot more that'll be ready here in the next, couple of days. These got huge just over the weekend. So it's amazing how fast they'll grow. And then I have a whole bunch more planted over on the other side of this garden that I put in the ground, I don't know, 3-ish weeks ago. So I'm going to have a whole nother crop of carrots coming up in the next month or so. So again, how you space your carrots, how you thin them, and how long they grow, depends on your goals. Again, if you're trying to grow really nice straight carrots, or if they're a bigger carrot and they need more room, more space to grow, you're going to want to consider that whenever you're thinning them. And again, it's not too late to come out and thin them when they've really started growing. Like I said, it's easier for me to really differentiate between the different plants and then pull that up and give them some more space to grow at that point. So now these that are the smaller ones that are still in here, they'll continue to grow. They'll have a little bit more room, and we'll see what we come up with here in the next week or so. But again, you want to know your variety. Is it a 4-inch carrot? Is it a 9-inch carrot? Your seed packet will tell you a lot about what you're looking for when it comes to harvest time. But again, look at that stalk, look at the shoulders of the carrot that are starting to pop above the ground, and that really should be a good indication. And if not, just pick the darn thing and see what you get, right? There's nothing wrong with having a smaller carrot. They actually might be more sweet than a larger carrot, depending on the variety. So I'm going to go inside. I'm going to clean all these off, and I'm going to save the greens. If you didn't know that, carrot greens can be used for a lot of different things, but I specifically use them for a carrot top pesto. I'll try to find the link to the recipe that I've used in the past and post it below. But there are tons of recipes out there for carrot tops and how you can use them. So don't throw them away. Give them a good wash and try some different recipes with those carrot tops. It's just another great thing that you can be using in the kitchen. And like I said, my favorite recipe is the carrot top pesto. So try that. But growing carrots and harvesting carrots is really it's a fun adventure in the garden. My kids are going to be really sad that I didn't bring them out here to harvest these with me. It was kind of like, that was not my plan. I was looking for pests, and I just happened to notice that, dang, I've got a lot of carrots here. So they'll get to help me on the next harvest, but it's definitely a fun thing to grow in the garden. But there are a couple nuanced things that you want to know when you're growing them. So check out my tips for the radish and carrot interplanting. If you're in zone 5B, 6A, you really have up through mid-July to plant carrots, and they should fare pretty well. So you can still be growing carrots, sowing them and growing them right now at this point in the season. And if you're not in zone 5A, 5B, 6A, just kind of do the math. Our first frost date is October 10th. So just kind of add or subtract however many weeks different there are between my first frost date and your first frost date, and you can kind of figure out when you can still be sowing carrots. I have a whole blog that I'll post below about what you can still sow in July, because we are at the end of June here, so we're thinking about what we can be sowing in July, and carrots is one of those items. So check that out. But don't be afraid to try something new like carrots, or if you haven't had luck with them in the past, just keep trying. This is the best crop I've had, and I've been growing carrots for 4 or 5 years. And every year I try again, and yeah, so don't give up. But go sow some carrots or go harvest your carrots, and show me some pictures in the comments if you have. Okay, thanks for coming along with me on today's video, and I'm sure I will have a lot more content coming out as the week goes on, because there is a lot of stuff going on out here. All right, as always, subscribe if you've enjoyed the content, and my name is Landon Gilfillan here at Pepper and Pine Garden Design, growing gardeners and their gardens, and I'll see you in the next video.